McGee, and some of you think I'm a troublemaker, but I've lived in Forney for 50 years, and there's something that really concerned me, and I spoke last night at the Tidal Water Director meeting. I did not realize the challenges, or what I'm going to say, between the city council, Forney, and our outlying areas, and there's some way we can correct that, folks. After all, I didn't know I was an ETJ for about 3 weeks ago, but there's some way we can combine our efforts and work toward the same thing. I'm very concerned when I drive out any road in Forney, there's property for sale, not just houses, not just a couple acres, but big acreage. And they all have to have water. And that's what made me realize that we need to combine what we're trying to do with the water situation. You'd be surprised how little people know about what's going on. And one thing I talk about right now is the vintage meadows that is being for 440 houses, and I don't know how many duplexes and apartments and so forth is coming up. And I understood that our P&L people went down there and looked at it, or talked to them and looked at them, and we approved their drawings, or what they anticipate doing. Folks, I hate to tell you this, but people we're dealing with is not just people we normally deal with. 3 attorneys formed a company that's called Watershed 6 or something like that. And that's the last word that says politics. But nobody really seems to know what and who is responsible for what. It's my understanding that you folks furnish all the water, the city of Forney. And we all buy water from you, correct or incorrect?
Well, they're getting the water from Talty.
Pardon me?
They're getting water from Talty. Yes, we supply Talty Water Supply Corporation with water.
Okay. And I understand that there is a lease agreement with you to furnish about 18-inch water line. Yes? No?
No.
One of the reasons this isn't an agenda item, you're speaking in open forum, so you're not going to have any council members respond to your questions.
Well, if they don't want to respond, they don't have to. I understand that.
Even if we want to, we can't. We're not allowed to. That's why.
There's 2 words that's not my vocabulary. One of them is I can't, and the other one is taxes. And I'm over. I pay too much taxes.
The state of Texas tells me that the council cannot address you.
Okay, I'll talk to you.
Well, Dee, let me
No.
suggestion.
I can't talk to you. You can't talk to me.
No, you
No,
can talk to
the council cannot, because it was not a posted item on the agenda.
Dee, if you would like, I can sit down with you. You know, I got a good relationship, so we can sit down and go through this. I think if you have some questions that are legitimate.
No, but I don't think you realize the conflict between the city and the outside of the city. And I think you figured like 17,000 inside and 37 outside, thousands. And yet we're controlling to a lot to you folks. And I think if we worked at it, we'd get a little bit of better cooperation. And we look in on a little bit more of what we're doing. Now that P&L zone thing, they've changed it 3 times already. And the reason I'm involved with it, I'll be honest with you, I got a call from our Mr. Gerald Combs saying that something's coming up that I need to be involved with and that I should go along with. And then a man by the name of Mabry, which everybody seems to know, he set me. He was in charge of the development out there, not the homestead, what's it called? Out past me. Oh, you can't talk to me, that's right. Anyway, the same guy, he came to me and presented me an easement contract to run in front of my house. And I had no idea what he was doing, and then I remember about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago, a man was out there in my front yard, and I drove up to him. I said, "Sir, can I help you?" He said, well, I'm getting some elevation. I said, elevation for what, sir? Oh, I don't know, they just told me to get some elevation. Now I know what it was for. It's for this big development down here. And folks, they're not the kind of people we're used to dealing with. For instance, in his remark to me, and by the way, they offered me a deed written $10 plus something else, and I was having a little problem with health with my son. I asked him to look into it for me, and they made some offers that they backed out on. One of them was, we were interested if we could get on the city, get on a sewer line. Now, we've got two of our own septic tank systems, but it'd be a hint. And so they did not have an easement to go to it. So they came back with I call it a bribe, $20,000 if I'd sign it tonight, because they wanted to close the next day. And I was not interested in any of it. But then, because come to find out about it, when they get sent me the second lease to sign for the easement, they weren't going to collect on my house. They were just going to run it 10 feet away, and instead of giving us 6 ports to it, they're going to give us 1, and then we can hook up the other 6 to it. But then I began to doubt what was going on. Well, last Wednesday morning about daylight, they pulled a, oh, by the way, one of the things Mr. Maybe said, well, we got to be careful, we don't want to lose our ag exemption. You don't make a development and then turn right around and take out ag. If you do, you're paying the difference in tax between what it was then and what it is now. And so what they do, they mobile home and portion off a little bit of the land there in the states, and that's how they're going to do that. And this, folks, I know I'm running over time.
Double.
Well, it's not bedtime yet.
We still have quite a bit more meetings to go through.
Do you? All I want to say is we need a little better cooperation between the big area and the small area. Even though we don't pay taxes and we're not on your system yet. But I'd be very careful before I promise somebody water when you're not sure you get it. And that's one of the reasons. Thank you very much for your time. I hadn't planned on saying anything, but I had a lot more to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.